Have you ever gone through your pocket change and wondered if there might be a hidden treasure right under your nose? Today we're diving deep into one of the most intriguing and surprising coins in recent memory, the 1967 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark. It's a coin that might seem ordinary at first glance, but could potentially be worth a fortune. Yes, you heard that right. Some examples of this coin have stunned collectors and investors with their jaw-dropping values. So how can a 5-cent coin possibly be worth thousands, or even millions of dollars? Let's break it down, piece by piece. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for and why this nickel from over half a century ago is making serious waves in the numismatic world. Let's start with a bit of history. The year was 1967. The United States Mint was producing coins in large quantities as the country was recovering from a major coin shortage in the early 60s. Because of that, the Mint made a crucial decision. For 3 years, 1965, 1966, and 1967, they decided to leave off the mint marks from all coins. That means every Jefferson nickel from 1967 looks identical, whether it came from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. So, if there's no mint mark, how can any 1967 Jefferson nickel be rare? Well, it's not about where it was made. It's about how it was made. And that's where things get interesting. The vast majority of 1967 nickels are extremely common. Over 107 million of them were struck. They're not silver, and most are only worth face value. But a tiny number of these coins have exceptional qualities. And in the world of coin collecting, quality matters more than almost anything else. We're talking about coins with deep, mirror-like fields and sharp, frosted designs. These are called proof-like, or even deep cameo finishes. Some examples are so well struck that they stand out dramatically against the average circulation strikes. These coins are incredibly scarce, and collectors are willing to pay top dollar for them. 1967 Jefferson nickel graded MS67 with full steps, meaning the steps of Monticello on the reverse side are fully visible and sharply struck, has sold for more than $5,000. And that's not even the highest. There have been rumors and reports of near-perfect examples graded MS68 or higher with exceptional luster and eye appeal fetching up to 6 figures at private auctions. Some collectors believe that the first few coins struck from brand new dies in 1967 may qualify as specimen strikes, and that extremely rare subset could, in theory, cross into million-dollar territory. Especially if such a coin is certified as unique, or the finest known. So while number 1967 nickel has yet officially sold for $1 million, the potential is very real and growing. So what should you be looking for if you think you might have one of these valuable nickels? First, condition. This cannot be stressed enough. A regular, worn-down 1967 nickel isn't going to make you rich. But if the coin has sharp details, no signs of circulation, and possibly even a shiny, proof-like surface, it might be worth grading. Second, look at the steps on Monticello. If you can see all 5 or 6 steps clearly without breaks, that's what's called full steps, and that significantly increases value. Third, check for errors. Some 1967 nickels may have off-center strikes, die cracks, double dies, or other minting mistakes. These types of errors can also be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on severity and condition. Lastly, consider sending your coin to a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate and grade the coin professionally, which is essential if you want to sell it to collectors or auction houses. The coin market is booming, and rare nickels are no exception. In the past 5 years alone, high-grade Jefferson nickels have seen increased interest. With more investors entering the space and fewer high-grade coins available, prices are climbing. The highest confirmed sale of a 1967 Jefferson nickel to date was a stunning 5-figure auction, but experts say the right coin in the right condition could break records. If a unique deep cameo, MS68 full steps coin were to show up, you can bet collectors would be ready to pay an astronomical sum. That's where the talk of million-dollar nickels comes in. So there you have it. The 1967 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel may look like any other coin in your change jar. But with the right condition, the right strike, and maybe even the right error, it could be a life-changing find. Check your coins carefully. Learn what to look for. And who knows, maybe one day, you'll be the one making headlines with a nickel worth $1 million. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more rare coin discoveries, and let me know in the comments if you've ever found a valuable coin in your change. We are diving deep into a coin that might be hiding in your pocket change or coin jar right now. It's the 1978 D-Mint marked Jefferson nickel with the classic Monticello building on the reverse. At first glance it might seem like just another 5-cent coin, but there's a lot more to this nickel than meets the eye. By the end of this video you'll know exactly why some of these nickels are creating a stir in the coin collecting world and why a few rare examples have been reported to sell for thousands and in very unique circumstances even talked about in the realm of million-dollar collectibles. So grab your magnifying glass and let's find out what makes the 1978 D Jefferson nickel such a hot topic. First, let's cover the basics. The 1978 D means this nickel was minted in Denver. The Monticello design on the back was created by Felix Schlag and has been a part of American coinage since 1938. In 1978, over 297 million of these nickels were produced at the Denver Mint. That's a lot of nickels, which might make you think they're not worth much. And in most cases that's true. A regular 1978 D nickel in circulated condition is worth face value. But it's the exceptions that make collectors pay attention. There are a few very important factors that can make a 1978 D Jefferson nickel worth far more than 5 cents. Number 1 is condition. Coins that have never been used in circulation, often called mint state nickels, especially those graded MS65 and above by professional grading services, can fetch higher prices. A 1978 D Jefferson nickel in pristine uncirculated condition with full steps on Monticello, meaning all the lines of the building steps are perfectly struck, can easily be worth hundreds and in some auctions even close to $1,000. But we're here to talk about something even more rare. There are reports and verified auction records of extremely rare errors and high-grade versions of the 1978 D Jefferson nickel that have brought in surprising money. For example, some nickels from this year have unusual striking errors such as off-center strikes, double dies, or even coins struck on the wrong planchet. These are called mint errors and they are highly sought after. One such error sold for over $3,000 at auction due to a combination of a double die error and a near-perfect grade. And that's just the beginning. The real buzz comes from rumors and rare findings of experimental planchets, or coins mistakenly struck on silver blanks from earlier decades, or transitional errors where the mint was switching metals or dies. These are incredibly rare and not officially confirmed by the mint, but they do show up in private collections or high-end auctions from time to time. If you happen to come across a 1978 D nickel that seems lighter in weight, or has an unusual color or luster, it's worth getting it checked professionally. A few of these types of minting mistakes and rare planchets have been appraised or rumored in the upper tens of thousands, or even more in private sales. Now let's talk about the million-dollar claims. There's been a lot of chatter online about a 1978 D Jefferson nickel being worth $1 million. So what's the truth? Here's the deal. There has never been a public record of a 1978 D Jefferson nickel officially selling for $1 million at a recognized auction house. But collectors and private dealers sometimes place astronomical values on coins with unique provenance, or once-in-a-lifetime error combinations. $1 million nickel would likely need to combine a flawless MS70 grade with full steps and a rare and dramatic mint error such as a double denomination or an off-metal strike on a rare blank. If such a coin exists, it would be one of the rarest nickels in U.S. history. Could it happen? Yes, in theory. Coin collecting is part history, part treasure hunt, and part art market. If a 1978 D nickel were discovered with a perfect grade, never before seen error, and authenticated rarity, the right collector might just pay a record-breaking price for it. Stranger things have happened in the numismatic world, so what should you do if you think you've found a valuable 1978 D Jefferson nickel? First, do not clean it. Cleaning a coin can instantly reduce its value. Next, get a jeweler's loupe or magnifier and examine the steps on Monticello. If you see all 5 or 6 steps clearly, you may have a full steps coin, which greatly increases value. Check for doubling, unusual mint marks, off-center designs, or weight differences. If it looks promising, consider sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for certification. In conclusion, most 1978D Jefferson nickels are common, but a small handful with pristine condition, full steps, or rare mint errors can be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. And while a $1 million 1978D nickel hasn't hit the public auction floor just yet, the possibility makes this an exciting coin to look out for. We're diving into a fascinating story about a Jefferson nickel that could literally change your life financially. We're talking about the 1982D Monticello Jefferson nickel. This is not just any 5-cent piece. This coin has made headlines and turned heads in the numismatic world because of one simple reason: it could be worth thousands, even up to $1 million in rare cases. Now, before you go digging through your change jar, let's get into why this particular nickel is so special and what to look for. First, a little background. The Jefferson nickel series began in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. The design features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the front and his famous Virginia estate Monticello on the back. In 1982, something very unusual happened in the Denver Mint. That year, the U.S. Mint began switching from coins with full steps on Monticello to ones that were a little less defined due to die wear and minting issues. So here's where it gets exciting. The 1982D Jefferson nickel has a very special version that features what's called full steps. Now, I know I said no technical jargon, so here's what that means. Take a look at the Monticello building on the back of a Jefferson nickel. If you see 5 or 6 clearly separated steps at the base of the building, you might have something rare on your hands. Most nickels from this year and mint do not have that level of detail because the dies used were worn down over time, but that's just the beginning. The truly rare version is the 1982D Jefferson nickel with full steps in mint state condition or higher. These are extremely hard to find, and when one shows up in top quality, collectors go crazy. Back in recent years, one of these nickels graded by a top grading service as MS67 with full steps sold for nearly $20,000. But here's the kicker: if a perfect coin graded MS68 or higher ever shows up, the value could shoot through the roof, potentially reaching 6 figures or even $1 million if it's the first of its kind. The coin market rewards top population pieces, and registry set collectors are always on the hunt for that next best example. Now, you might be wondering what makes this coin so hard to find in high grade. The Denver Mint struck millions of these nickels, but most went into circulation and were handled poorly. That means scratches, nicks, and dull surfaces, which lower the grade. To find one that's untouched and has those perfect full steps is like finding a needle in a haystack. So how do you check if your 1982D Jefferson nickel is valuable? First, flip it over and look closely at the steps of Monticello. Are they clean, sharp, and fully struck? Count them. Can you see 5 or 6 without any major breaks? If so, you might have a full steps variety. Next, look at the coin's overall condition. Is it shiny with no visible scratches or wear? If it looks like it just came from the mint, then you may want to consider getting it professionally graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. That's the only way to confirm its true market value. Collectors and dealers pay huge premiums for these rare coins, especially if they are top of the line. A high-grade 1982D Jefferson nickel with full steps could change your entire collection or your financial future. Also, keep in mind that many people have these coins sitting in old collections, coin jars, or rolls and have no idea what they're holding. So whether you're a beginner or a seasoned collector, always double-check your nickels from the early 80s. Now, let's talk about the market. The value of a regular circulated 1982D Jefferson nickel is usually just face value 5 cents, but if it has full steps and is in great condition, the value jumps significantly. An MS65 full steps coin might bring in a few $100s, and MS66 could go over $1,000, and as I mentioned earlier, MS67 and up can reach tens of thousands, even more if the coin is the highest known grade. So yes, that humble little nickel could be worth a fortune. Alright, let's wrap it up. The 1982D Monticello Jefferson nickel is a fascinating piece of American coinage history. It teaches us that even modern coins can be worth big money if the conditions are right. It also reminds us that attention to detail matters, especially in coin collecting. So go ahead, check your change, look through those old coin rolls. You never know what treasure might be hiding in plain sight. 1986D Jefferson nickel, a seemingly ordinary 5-cent coin that could be worth a small fortune. You heard that right. While most of these nickels are only worth face value, there are rare versions and errors that can skyrocket their value into the thousands and, yes, in some ultra-rare cases, even touch the $1 million mark. So how can a coin that's supposed to be worth 5 cents turn into a jackpot find? That's what we're breaking down in this video. We'll go over the background of the 1980-60 nickel, why the mint mark matters, what eras and varieties collectors are hunting for, and how condition plays a massive role in value. We'll even look at some real-world sales and why certain examples command astronomical prices in auctions. Let's start with a little history. The Jefferson nickel was first minted in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. It features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, or the front, and Monticello, Jefferson's home, on the reverse. For decades, it's been a workhorse of U.S. currency, often ignored by collectors unless something special catches their eye. Now fast forward to 1986. That year, the Denver Mint struck millions of these nickels, each bearing a small D mint mark to the right of Monticello on the reverse side. In total, over 400 million of the 1980-60 nickels were produced. That's a massive number. So why would any of them be worth more than 5 cents? The answer lies in a combination of factors: rarity, condition, and error. First, let's talk about condition. In coin collecting, condition is everything. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a flawless coin. Most 1980-60 nickels that you find in circulation are going to be heavily worn, maybe scratched, and definitely not anywhere near mint condition. But if you happen to come across one that's been preserved in near perfect shape, especially one graded MS-67 or higher by a professional grading service, you're looking at a coin that could be worth hundreds, even thousands, of dollars. But it doesn't stop there. Some 1980-60 nickels have what are known as mint errors, mistakes that happen during the minting process. These can include things like off-center strikes, double dies, repunched mint marks, or even coins struck on the wrong metal planchet. These error coins are extremely rare and highly collectible. Depending on the type and severity of the error, their value can go through the roof. In fact, in recent years, there have been reports of rare Jefferson nickels, including varieties from the 1980s, selling for staggering amounts at major auctions. One famous case was a nickel with a major mint error that sold for over $10,000. Now imagine a unique, uncirculated 1980-60 with a dramatic double die and flawless strike. In a hot market, with enough collector interest, that could potentially break records. And here's the kicker: some coin experts believe that certain 1980-60 era nickels, if graded at the highest levels and with dramatic enough features, could fetch prices reaching 6 figures or even more, especially if they're truly one of a kind. Now, is that enough to call it $1 million coin? Possibly, in the right auction, with the right story behind it, and the right buyer. Stranger things have happened in the world of numismatics. There's a reason coin collectors are always on the lookout for the next big discovery. So what should you be looking for? First, check the condition. If you've got a 1980-60 nickel that looks brand new, with sharp details and no wear, that's a good start. Next, inspect the coin carefully, ideally under magnification, for any unusual features like doubling, die cracks, off-center designs, or any signs that the minting process didn't go as planned. If you think you've got something special, it's always worth getting it professionally graded. A grading service like PCGS or NGC can tell you exactly what you've got and certify its value. Now, before you rush to your change jar, keep in mind that most 1980-60 nickels are not going to make you rich. The vast majority are worth 5 cents, maybe a bit more if they're in good shape. But that's the beauty of coin collecting. It's a treasure hunt. And every once in a while, someone really does find that one rare piece that changes everything. So to sum it up, yes, the 1980-60 Jefferson nickel can be worth a lot more than face value. If it's in top condition or has a rare mint error, its value can shoot up dramatically. And while $1 million sales are extremely rare, they're not impossible in the right circumstances. If you think you've got a winner, do your homework, get it graded, and who knows, you might just be sitting on a small fortune. 1987 was struck at the Denver Mint, as shown by the D mint mark right next to the year. 1987 was not a particularly low mintage year. In fact, over 450 million of these nickels were minted in Denver alone. So why on earth would this coin be worth $1 million? Hold on, because the answer lies in the details. When it comes to coins, value is not just about age. It's about rarity, condition, errors, and demand. Some of the most valuable coins are not even the oldest. They're the ones with unique features, printing mistakes, or flawless quality. That's exactly where the 1987 Jefferson nickel gets interesting. Now let's talk about why this particular coin can sell for thousands, or even reach that eye-popping $1 million value. First, you need to understand mint errors. Coins are mass-produced, and sometimes machines mess up. The 1987 Jefferson nickel has been known to exist with some extremely rare and valuable mint errors. Some of the most valuable errors found on this coin include double die obverse, off-center strikes, and planchet errors. But there's a particular kind of error that drives collectors wild, and that's the full-step designation dot on the back of the Jefferson nickel. You'll see Monticello, Jefferson's estate. At the base of the building are a set of steps. If those steps are fully visible and sharply struck, it's known as a full steps nickel. Coins with full steps are rare because striking issues often cause them to be weak or blurry. Now, combine that with a mint state condition, meaning the coin looks almost perfect, with no signs of wear, and you're looking at a highly desirable collector's item. Some 1987 nickels with full steps, high-grade surfaces, and certain error characteristics have already sold for thousands at auction. But the ones that are essentially flawless, the absolute top of the top, those could theoretically sell for $1 million or more, especially if there's only one of its kind in existence. That's what makes the hunt so exciting. Let's get into some real numbers. Coins graded MS67 or higher, that's near perfect condition, can fetch anywhere from $500 to several $1,000s depending on rarity and demand. A known example of a 1987 D with full steps in MS67 condition sold for over $4,000 at auction. Now imagine you find a 1987 D with full steps, a major double die, and it grades at MS68 or better. If it's the only one known or the highest graded, a serious collector or investor could be willing to pay hundreds of thousands or more. And if a bidding war starts, it's not unthinkable that the value could creep toward that magical $1 million mark. So how do you know if your 1987 D Jefferson nickel is valuable? Here's what you should look for. First, check the condition. No scratches, no wear, sharp edges, and a clean surface. Then look at the steps on Monticello. If you can clearly count 5 or 6 full, uninterrupted steps, that's a good sign. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe if needed. Also, look for doubling on the letters or numbers, especially in the word Liberty, the date, or the mint mark. That could indicate a double die error. If you think you've got something special, don't clean it. That can ruin its value. Instead, get it professionally graded by a service like PCGS or NGC. It's a small investment that could pay off big time. Now, is it common to find $1 million nickel? No. That's why it would be worth $1 million, because it's practically one of a kind. But does that mean it's impossible? Not at all. New varieties and high-grade finds are discovered every year, and rare coins sell for jaw-dropping prices at major auctions. Collectors are always searching for the next big thing. And if you happen to own the best-known example of a 1987 D Jefferson nickel, you could be sitting on a life-changing treasure. The world of coin collecting is full of surprises. A coin minted in the millions can still become priceless under the right conditions. The 1987 D Monticello Jefferson nickel might seem ordinary, but in the world of numismatics, the smallest details make all the difference. So next time you're sorting through your pocket change or digging through that old coin jar, pay attention. The nickel that nobody else noticed might be the one that makes you rich. 1996 P mint mark Monticello nickel, and why some of these coins are turning heads in the numismatic world with unbelievable values reaching into the millions in certain cases. At first glance, the 1996 P Jefferson nickel might not seem extraordinary. It was produced in large numbers at the Philadelphia Mint with a total mintage of over 829 million coins. That's a staggering figure, and most people would assume that a coin so common could never be worth much. But that's where the story takes a turn, because hidden among those millions are a few extremely rare varieties and error coins that collectors are willing to pay a fortune for. Let's break it down. First, we have to understand what makes any coin valuable. It typically comes down to three things: rarity, condition, and demand. And in the case of the 1996 P. Jefferson nickel, it's a mix of all three when it comes to those valuable examples. One of the most talked about 1996 P nickels is a version with an extremely rare mint error. We're talking about off-center strikes, double dies, and even full-step varieties. For those who are new to coin collecting, full steps refer to the number of visible steps on the Monticello building on the reverse of the coin. A perfect strike shows all 5 or 6 steps clearly. These coins are rare because most nickels come out of the mint with slightly worn or mushy detail on the steps. So when a coin has full steps, it means it was struck with extra force or with fresh dies, resulting in an unusually sharp image. A 1996 P nickel with full steps in flawless condition, especially one graded MS67 or higher by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC, can fetch several thousands of dollars at auction. In fact, one such coin sold for over $8,000 because it combined rarity with nearly perfect condition. But what if we go a step further? There are also stories of rare era nickels from this year with dramatic double die obverse or severe off-center strikes combined with full steps and high-grade preservation. These are not just rare, they are almost one of a kind, and collectors go wild for these anomalies. One coin matching these traits was once speculated to have crossed the $1 million threshold in private collector circles, though official sales are rarely public. Still, the buzz is there and the potential is real. If you're wondering how to check if you have one of these coins, start by examining the Monticello building on the back. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to check for full steps. Count the number of steps and see if they're clear and unbroken. Then check the front of the coin for doubling, especially around the lettering and Jefferson's eye. You're looking for even the slightest doubling, which can be a sign of a valuable double die variety. Finally, check for off-center strikes or any other abnormalities like planchet errors or die cracks. Condition matters too. A coin in circulated condition might only be worth face value. But if you've got a coin that's been well preserved, perhaps stored in a row or a collection for decades, it could be in mint state. And those are the coins that truly bring in the big bucks. So what's the bottom line? Most 1996 P nickels will only be worth 5 cents. But a select few with the right combination of mint errors, full steps, and pristine condition can be worth hundreds, thousands, and in the most exceptional cases possibly even up to $1 million. This is why coin hunting is so exciting. You never know what treasures you might find in your change jar, at a flea market, or in an old collection passed down from family. If you want to learn more about rare nickels, valuable coins, and how to spot mint errors that could make you rich, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. We've got more videos coming on coins you might already own that could be worth a fortune. 2002 D. Jefferson nickel. And believe it or not, some of these coins have sold for thousands, and one example has even been speculated to be worth over $1 million in the right condition. Let's break it all down so you know exactly what to look for. Now, before you rush off to your coin jar, here's a little background. The Jefferson nickel series has been running since 1938, and the design features the third President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, on the front with his famous home, Monticello, on the back. The coin we're focusing on today is the 2002 Denver Mint version, and that tiny D mint mark is what tells us it came from the Denver Mint. In terms of basic value, most 2002 D. Jefferson nickels are only worth face value, 5 cents. They were produced in the hundreds of millions. But here's where it gets interesting. There are certain rare varieties, errors, and incredibly high-grade examples that can push the value into the thousands, and in extremely rare cases, much higher. Let's talk about the $1 million claim. Now, this isn't about any old nickel. We're talking about a perfect storm, a 2002 D. Jefferson nickel that not only has an extremely rare minting error but also holds a near-perfect grading of MS70 from a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. That kind of grade, combined with a unique error, something like an off-center strike, die clash, or double die reverse, can skyrocket the value. Now, has one actually sold for $1 million? Not yet officially. But the coin collecting community has speculated that in the future, as demand for rare modern era coins grows, A top-grade 2002D Jefferson nickel with a dramatic and confirmed error could hit that mark in a private sale or auction. In fact, some dealers already list rare Jefferson errors at sky-high prices, and some collectors are willing to pay top dollar to complete their sets with flawless or bizarre examples. Here's what you should be looking for. First, check the coin's condition. Coins that have never been in circulation and still have that original luster are called mint state. The higher the grade, the more valuable. Next, look for anything out of the ordinary. That could be a doubling in the letters, misaligned printing, a missing mint mark, or even part of another coin's image pressed into it. All of these can mean serious money. If you think you've found something unusual, don't just throw it back into the jar. Get it appraised by a professional. Take it to a coin dealer or submit it to a grading service. Because even though the odds are slim, that one strange nickel could be worth more than you ever imagined. So to wrap it up, the 2002D Jefferson nickel is usually just a common coin. But if you find one with a serious mint error, especially in pristine condition, it could be worth thousands, maybe even $1 million one day. Always check your change, and don't underestimate the power of a tiny 5-cent coin. 2021 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark. This seemingly ordinary 5-cent piece might just be hiding in your pocket change, and if you're lucky, it could be worth hundreds, thousands, or in extremely rare cases, even up to $1 million. Let's explore everything you need to know about this coin, from its design and background to key errors and varieties that drive collectors wild. First, let's talk about the basics. The Jefferson nickel has been in circulation since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. The obverse of the coin features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, designed by artist Felix Schlag, while the reverse shows his Virginia estate, Monticello. Over the years, this classic design has seen subtle refinements, but the core elements remain the same. Now, in 2021, the United States Mint struck hundreds of millions of these nickels across different facilities. The coin in focus today carries the D mint mark, indicating it was minted at the Denver Mint. So you might be asking, what makes a 2021 D Jefferson nickel special? The answer lies in mint errors and condition. Most 2021 D nickels are only worth face value. But a tiny percentage of them have extraordinary characteristics, errors that occurred during the minting process, or coins that survived in pristine, untouched condition. These are the ones that collectors and investors go crazy for. One of the most sought-after features in these coins is a striking mint error. Let's break some of them down. Double die obverse. That means the coin was struck twice by the die, slightly off-register, creating a doubling effect on the date, lettering, or even Jefferson's profile. Some of these errors are obvious to the naked eye, while others require magnification. But either way, they can skyrocket a coin's value. Off-center strikes. These are coins that were misaligned during striking, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the higher the value. Die cracks and cuds. These are small raised lines or blobs caused by breaks in the die used to strike the coin. They're considered minor errors, but certain examples can fetch premium prices depending on location and visibility. Now, let's talk about condition and grading. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70 by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC. A coin graded MS60 is considered mint state, but not perfect. An MS70 is a flawless, perfect coin under magnification. For the 2021 D Jefferson nickel, high-grade coins in MS67 or higher are rare. As of now, a PCGS-graded MS67 2021 D nickel has sold for over $200 at auction. An MS68 could easily go for several hundred, and if a 2021 D nickel is ever found in MS69 or MS70 condition, a truly flawless example, it could be worth several $1,000s, or even more. There's speculation in the collecting community that an ultra-rare error or pattern coin could exist for this year, something like a transitional error, or a coin struck on the wrong planchet. If such a coin were authenticated and confirmed, its value could easily climb into the tens or hundreds of thousands. And yes, in extremely rare cases, some error coins have broken the $1 million mark in private sales or high-profile auctions. So how can you find one of these valuable nickels? start by checking your change. Look for clean, bright coins with sharp details. Use a magnifier to inspect the date, lettering, and Jefferson's face for doubling or abnormalities. Pay special attention to the rim and edges for off-center strikes or die breaks. If you find something that looks unusual, don't clean the coin. Cleaning can dramatically lower its value. Instead, set it aside and consider having it evaluated by a reputable coin dealer or sent to a grading service. Remember, the key to discovering a valuable 2021 D Jefferson nickel is patience, attention to detail, and a bit of luck. To wrap this up, the 2021 D Monticello Jefferson nickel might look like an ordinary 5-cent coin, but in the right condition or with the right error, it can be worth far more than its face value. Keep your eyes open, because one of these modern nickels could be your hidden treasure. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more rare coin breakdowns, and share this with anyone who might have loose change in their couch cushions. You never know what's out there waiting to be discovered.